Okay, so hello everybody. What we're going to be talking about today is about conditional control structures in general, but of course we're going to work on them in Python, okay? So let's remember when we're running a program, it executes one statement after the other, and it executes this statement, then the next statement, then the next and the next. And it goes basically one statement by one in an orderly manner and one after the other, okay? But what happens if I want to do something like, if something happens at this point, I want to execute these statements, or if that doesn't happen, then I want to execute those statements. And after that, I want to continue with my regular flow. So at this point, I want to check for something. And if that something is true, then I will do this. If it is false, I will do this other different thing, or I might not do anything. So what we have here is a conditional control structure. Why conditional? Because there's a condition here. If this happens, then I will control the flow of my program and do these statements. Otherwise, I will do those statements here. Okay, so basically, this is the concept of conditional control structures, and everything else starts from this, and it makes a whole variety of options that we have. But let's work on an example. Let's work on an example over here, and I will. Let me show you my screen. Okay, I will remind you how to make a program here in Python. If you see, I am not in the correct folder. So what I have here, let me find where my folder is here. Doesn't look like it's here. Oh, here it is. It's in Google Drive. So I will go to my classes. I have, this is just a reminder, that's why I do it, okay? Then I go to the tech folder, and then I go to my subject here, which is TC 1027. I need some programs, and then I do file, new, and I will write it as a Python file. We will be working now on Python files, and we will be working later on Jupyter, more on Jupyter Notebook. But here we have. Okay, let's make an example. I need to know if somebody is an adult, and here in Mexico you're an adult. You stop being a minor person when you are 18 or more. Okay, so let's say first we have to rename it. Remember to rename it, and we will be working on if examples. We will be working on if examples, and let's say I want to check and see if you're 18 or older in order to make a certain decision. Okay, so we ask the user first for your age. Age equals, we will read an integer, input age. So we ask for the age, okay? And let's say print age. Let's run this, let's save it. Saved, open a create console for editor, select the kernel, and we will run if examples.py, shift enter, request my age, I would be 25, okay, and then it prints 25, okay? Now, what I want to know is if you are 18 or older. So what is going to happen now? Let's see. File, new, and I will make a diagram here. Okay, and let me make this a little bit more over here. Okay, and we will go for flow charting. Okay, so first we have our starting point here. Okay, I have my starting point. Let's put it over here. Okay, next I will ask for the age. I will be asking for the age. Next, what I am going to do, and the way we represent them in a flowchart, is with this symbol. Okay, we represent it with this symbol, and what we say there is age greater or equal to 18, because then you will be an adult here in our country. Okay, now if that happens, the only thing we are going to do for now, if that happens, is that we are going to print something like you are 18 or older. Okay, now what happens here is that this happens, and we start. That's the starting point, and this is the flow that is going to follow. Okay, and if you're not 18 or older, for now we are not going to do anything. So basically that would be the end of our program here. Okay, here it is, and what we're going to do is put it here, and also this path here, we're going actually what we formally have to do is put a connector. Where's my connector? Here, one page reference, or no. Okay, well, normally what we would use as a connector is a perfect circle. Okay, so here we make a small connector, and things would just follow along like this here, and here everything gets together there. So now we connect this here, and this is the end. Here is the start. Okay, so basically, oh, this is not in the right spot. It's just formalities, but okay, it should go. It doesn't want to, but no, it doesn't want to, but it should go this way, and I don't know how to force it here. Okay, well, we'll just put it there and put a text here, and if this is true, we'll go this way, and if this is false, we'll go this other way. Okay, and basically this is what we have. We have start point, we ask for the age. If age is greater or equal than 18, if that is true, we're going to print you're 18 or older. If that is false, we won't do anything in this case. We will do other examples where you actually do something, but at this point, I'm not going to do anything. And then we finish the program, okay? So that's basically what we have over here. And well, I'm not going to print this. I'm going to remove it. And what we're going to do now is say the following. We're going to say if age is greater And where's my symbol here? Okay, greater or equal to 18. And watch this structure. We put a column here and automatically I have an indentation here, okay? Okay, and I'm going, in order to use that indentation, I will put two prints inside the if statement, or we'll put only one and we'll do another example. And we're going to say print you are 18 or older. Okay. And if I go back here, and print by, this is the end of the program. Okay, I don't have that. I don't have that here in my flowchart. That print would be here. Okay, but what this will do is it will ask for the age. If it's 18 or older, it will come inside our if statement. And after it finishes that if statement, it will go and continue here. Okay, now, if you are like 15, you will ask for the age. Age would be 15, and then is age greater or equal than 18? That is false. So it will skip this part here, and it will continue with our execution right here. Okay, so that is basically what this simple if statement is. Okay. Now, let's run this program here. Let me finish this drawing stuff over here. Here we go. Okay, so let's run it. Oh, I don't have it. Sorry, I don't have it saved, so I need to save it. So I saved it. Okay, just put something here. France, that's it. Okay, now let's run it and say, I am 25. Okay, now it tells me, I just made the input here, and it tells me you are 18 or older by this program is the end of the program. Now, if I run it again and type like 12, what happens is it won't print this part here because this part here is inside our if statement. Age is not greater or equal to 18 because 12 is not greater or equal to 18. That would be false. If this is true, here, I don't want to do that. If this is true, oh, come on. Okay, let me fix that. Okay, if this is true, this will execute this. But if this is false, it would just skip those instructions here. Okay. So let's say this would be to go inside a restaurant where you can only go inside if you are 18 or older. Okay. Now, what we're going to do now is the following. We're going to say if age is greater or equal to 18, you are 18 or older, print you can enter this restaurant. Okay. Now, but see this here. I will do this, else print you are not old enough. Print you can not go inside. Okay, so what will this do? If this statement is true, then it will print those two statements. If it is false, it will then print these other two statements. So how would our flowchart look like? Okay, look at this. Let me go this way. And I have this print here. You are 18 or older, and you can enter, etc. Okay, now on this side over here, I have another print statement. I have it here. Okay, and it tells you you are not 18 or older. You cannot, etc. Okay, so what we have over here is what we call an if-else statement. Okay, if you are greater or equal than 18, this comes true and you follow this way. If that is false, you follow this way. And let me finish this. Okay, what we have over here, it doesn't exactly say the same, but what we have over here, it's a goodbye message. Okay, and this here, where is it? There you go. Comes this way, comes this way. So what you have over here is an if this happens, else it goes this way. So if this is true, you come this way. If it is false, you come this other way. At the end, everything gets together and the program execution continues. It just sends another goodbye message here. Okay, now, so this is another form of if statement. The first if we saw, it's just a simple if where it only has one part, but I can add this other part, this else portion of the if, okay? And this else portion of the if will execute if and only if this is false, okay? Now, what can we do in here? You can, I'm only printing things, but you can do anything you want. You can have other inputs, you can have computations, you can have a lot of stuff. But basically the idea is that we understand this part here. If this, else goes this way, okay? Now, let me pause the video for a second. I will be right back. Okay, let's continue with this. Now, let's see other concepts that we need over here. And they are the following. Imagine you are 18 or older, no, okay? Now, you print this, you are 18 or older, but let's ask for an ID, okay? And what we're gonna say is ID, I will put a double D because ID, it's a reserved word, so we cannot use it, okay? And we're gonna say input do you have an ID? Do you have an ID, okay? And now, what we are going to do now here is we're going to have an if statement inside our if statement, okay? So what we are going to do now is say if ID is equal, watch out, I have two equal signs, okay? I will tell you why that is. And if it says, yes, I have an ID, okay, then what we are going to do is we're going to print, you can enter this restaurant, okay? So we make an indentation here, okay, of this print statement here, okay? let's put two print statements. Good. You have a valid ID. Okay, and we say you can enter the restaurant. Okay, else, and we have all this indentation issue that is very important in Python. Okay, print, you do not have an ID. Print, although you are 18 or older, you cannot come in. Okay, so what happens here? Okay, what we have now is we have this block of statements here, and if you can see this, they are indented here. They have an indentation here. Those belong to this if statement. Okay, those here, they belong to this else part of this if statement. Now, this if statement inside this other if statement has this structure, if else. Okay, and this if else has this prints inside and this other prints inside this else. So we have an if structure within this if structure here. So the way we call this is a nested, like a nest, like a bird nest, one inside the other. It's a nested if control structure. Okay, you have an if inside an if, and I can have other ifs inside. And like this case, I don't have any. It's not mandatory to have them. It just depends on if you need them. Okay. All right. So we have this here. Let's see how our workflow looks like when we do this. So what happens here is that we just made this a little bit more complicated. Okay, this got lost. What happens here? Okay, let's see if it works. There it goes. No, looks like it didn't like it. There it goes. Okay, I'm just making some space over here in order to work on that. Okay, so I will not write everything here, but here inside I have this. Okay, you are 18 or older. Okay, then I am going to ask for ID information. So I'm going to put this here, a little bit over here. Okay, make a little shorter. Okay, and I said I will ask for an ID. Okay, and what I'm going to do now is I'm gonna ask here and say, okay, you ask for that ID, but let me see if I can get rid of this. No, I cannot remove this stuff here. Okay, and doesn't allow me to move it there. Okay, so I have this ID and IDD. And if this is, let me move this over here. I have this ID thing here. And if this is true, then I will print, where is it? Here it is. If this is true, I will do this. And if this is false, okay, if this is false, then I will do this other thing. So here we go, and we just point it there, and here we go and point it here. Okay, here, there we go. Okay, and then we will place a connector here too. Okay, to finish this if over here. and this goes like this, and this one here goes like this. Okay, I haven't, do you have an idea if this is yes, it comes this way? And actually, I'm not asking, I'm just asking if it said yes. Another answer would come this way here, okay? That answer would be, and say here we put the message, yes, you can go in, and here we put messages like, no, you cannot go in, okay? Now, let me use another resource here. When I have a diagram like this, okay, that we say you are 18 or older, it comes this way, and now we come this way here. And if I have a complex diagram, this is not exactly a complex diagram, but it got complicated here, and I'm running out of space. So we use a resource like this. This is an off-page reference, or it can be an in-page. I use it as an in-page reference too, and I just put it here, okay? I just put it here and put a label. I try to use Greek labels, but I don't have them here right away. So I put it here. Look what I'm going to do. I'm going to connect this here. No, not that way. It should be the other way around. There you go. I put this here. Then I'm going to copy this one here. I'm going to paste it, and then I bring it over here. Okay, and say this continues right here. Okay, so I have this reference here. My flow chart comes this way and comes this other way. But let me show you the general idea. I have this if structure here, okay? And if it is true, I come this way, I ask for extra information, then I make a decision here, and I come this way or this way, depending on if the answer is yes, if that condition gets true. If it is not true, I come this other way, and then it comes over here and it continues, okay? So that would be my flow chart for this program over here, okay? That would be the flow chart for this program over here. Now we have to see if it runs, but now I have a lot of options, okay? I have a lot of options. So first, I think we have to save it. Okay, there it goes. And then we're gonna run it. Okay, I'm age, very simple. I'm 12 years old. Now, but real simple, it just came this way. If I type 12, it goes, I read the age, is not greater than 18. It comes this way, prints this, and then it says, okay, goodbye. It came that way, okay? Now, let's run it now. And let's run it again. Okay, now I'm gonna tell it, I am 19. Okay, do you have an ID? No, I don't have an ID. Okay, so age 19. Oh, oops, didn't go that way. 19, now you are 18 or older. Do you have an ID? No, you do not have an ID. So which was the path that it followed? Now. Okay, I said I'm 19, so it comes this way. It prints this here. Then I read for the ID and I typed no. So if it wasn't yes, then it came this way and it executed this portion over here. Okay, and then it skips this part and it continues over here. Okay, that's the flow that it followed. Okay, now let's run another option here. Let's say that, okay, I am 18. Okay, do you have an ID? Yes, I have an ID. Okay, So it says you can enter this restaurant by this. What good you have this a valid ID? You can enter this restaurant by this is the end of the program. Which was the path that it followed? Which was the path that it followed? Okay, I asked for the age. Okay, is age greater or equal than 18? That is true. So it comes this way. I asked for an ID. I typed yes. So it came inside here. And after this point, my flow skips all this and continues right over here. And see how important is this indentation, because this tells me what goes inside each one of the if or else statements. It tells me which one it is. Okay. All right. This is what I would call, it shows pretty much the nested ifs, but it's giving me the what I call the second flavor of the if structure, which is an if else composition of a structure with an if else. Remember the first one was only if this happens and it continues. That's what I would call the first flavor. My next flavor is this if else structure. Okay, good. Now let me make a pause right here and we will continue with our next flavor of if statement. Okay, so let me make a pause here and we'll be right back. Now we continue with our next flavor number 3 of the conditional control structure, and we'll see how this works. Okay, now let's do it with an example. Let's say that we're gonna make a menu here, a menu somewhere where we choose for something. So first we're gonna print the options of our menu, and we say, let's say, this program computes areas of geometric figures. Okay, and let's write our menu, and we say A for triangle, B for square, C for rectangle. And of course, you can make this menu for others, like a circle or whatever. Okay. Now, cylinder, etc. Now, let's do this. Then we need to input something. I will write it in Spanish, so I make sure that it will tell me. I have option in English too. It shows me that I can use that word. And we're gonna say here, we're just gonna print type your option. Type your option there, and we read it. Okay. Now we have some inputs. We have my options. We type it, and now what we are going to do now is say, okay, if option is equal to A, then what we are going to do is we're going to say print area for a triangle. Okay. Now, watch for this. Watch for this. And then, okay, I'll show you what we'll do next. Okay. Now, I just want to stop here for a while. This double equal sign is very important. Why? Because a single equal sign in Python, we use it to assign a value to a variable. Like, for instance, we say x equals 5. This is not comparing x with 5. This is not making a comparison. It is assigning a value of 5 to our X variable, okay? So this is different. This is to compare if 5 is equal 5, that's making a comparison. But if I assign something, it would be like this. So if I want to compare two values, I need to use a double equal sign, okay? That is a very common mistake when we are learning to program, that we just leave a single equal sign, and sometimes the program doesn't show an error, but it doesn't run the way we expected, okay? So we use a double equal sign and say, is this A? Is this the letter A, okay? Now, remember, I put A in double quotes because I am comparing the value, the string value, which in fact I forgot to say input here, okay? The value that I read from the keyboard, is that a letter A? Now, look at this. This is a non-capital letter, okay? So this is different than this, but we will see that, okay? Then I print the area of a triangle. Now, I have a structure in Python that says elif, o sea, that means else if. Now I make another comparison. Option equal B, okay? And then we say print area of a square. Those are the choices that we have made, okay? Now, then I will make another comparison, okay? Elif option equals C, okay? And then we say print area of a rectangle, okay? And I can have an else. If it wasn't A or B and C, what we're going to say is we're going to print wrong option. Didn't type the right option. This is optional. This else is completely optional, okay? Now, let's see. When we read something here, what this structure, this is a complete if structure. It begins here and it ends here. Now, this has this portion here that it checks first if this condition is true. If this condition is true, it executes all the statements inside and then the program continues. If this is not true, it will check for this condition here. If it is true, it will do the statements inside and it will continue. It won't, when you find something here that is true and it executes those statements inside, then it will not check it for anything else. It will just finish those statements and continue, okay? Now, let's run it and see what happens. Let's see. Let's save it. Okay, and here we're going to run it and see if it runs. Okay, type your option. Okay, let's say B, and it tells me area of square. So what happened is it came this way here, it executed this portion here, and then it continued. Okay, but again, if I need more statements here, I can just put them here. I just have to put the correct indentation here. Otherwise, either the program will tell me that there's an error or it will not work properly, okay? So this would be like this menu example using if, elif statement. Now, let's work with this. Let's make another, let's go into another topic here. If I run this program here, we run this program here, and I type C, well, this is an area of a rectangle. But what happens if I run this program and I type capital C, it tells me wrong option, wrong option. Why? I'm asking for C, but I am not asking for capital C. Okay, what I need to do here in all those cases is say the following one. If option, I'm going to put parentheses to make it clearer, okay? But then I'm going to say if option is non-capital A or option is equal to capital A, okay, then it will do this, okay? Now let me copy this and just put it here and also put it here. So this is B and this is C. Okay, if option is equal to non-capital A or option is equal to capital A, then it will go this way. So I can have this structure where I make this comparison and I make this comparison and with an or relational instruction, I can say, okay, if this is true or this is true, then I will do this. Okay, I will do this, and we will go in more depth in these options, this comparison, and these logical operators like or, and not, and we will work on them. Okay, now if I run this, save it and run it, okay, and now if I type capital A, then I got the area of a triangle. Okay, but let's see, let's actually do something. Let's say that I have a triangle area function, okay? And this function, it's not going to receive any parameters. We're just going to make this program modular, okay? And what we are going to do is then here, we're gonna say, okay, give me the base. Of course, the base of the triangle, okay? And it didn't like it here. Why didn't it like it here? Okay, I have a missing rotation here. We gotta be careful with that. The height is float, input, height, and what we're gonna say, print area equals base multiplied by height divided by 2. Okay, so I'm gonna just making this real simple here. Okay, and this function actually doesn't return anything. I just have to do is, what I'm gonna do is, after I print this here, I'm gonna call that function and say triangle A. Triangle A. Okay, so if I get this option here, I'm just giving some information here, and then I execute this function. This function gets called over here. It does this, and after that finishes, it goes away. Let me add something here. Just I like to do that to make it clearer. I just say print. Okay. Oh, I don't like that. Why is that there? Let me see. There's something here not doing something. Let me see. I think it's gonna give me an error, but I cannot see why. Let me find that out. Let me run it. It's gonna give me an error. So triangle A. There's something here. It's not printing this on green. So there's something here. Let me run it and see what happens. I believe it's going to give me an error, but I cannot really see it. Type an option A, base of the triangle 5, height 7. Oh, it worked. I don't know why it's printing here in red. I don't know. It should be green also, but it's working. So what happened here is that I got this option here. I made a function here and I called this function here and it worked. From here, it went to call the function, then it returned, and then it continued. And you can ask me, can you put this code here? Yes, I can. But if you look at this program, like this, it is clearer to have these functions here at the top and just call the functions rather than having all the code here in my menu processing side of the program. Okay, so that is very important to make a program that is really clean, structured, understandable by somebody who reads it. If I put all the code in here, I end up with a very large, complex to see and understand code. So this is a way to use those functions. And I have to repeat, this function doesn't, it's not a function that returns the area of a triangle, and it doesn't have any parameters. It's just a function to make a nicer structure for my program, and everything is done within. It is not returning any values or anything like that, okay? So let me make a pause here and I will continue in just a second. Okay, so let's find out more about logic expressions, okay? So in logic expressions, what we have are what we call relational or comparison operators. We already saw something like greater or equal to, like for example, is age greater or equal to than 18? But I have other symbols like equal to, and equal to is double equal sign that compares if two numbers are equal, okay? We have different from, which is exclamation sign with an equal sign that compares two values, and it gives me true if both sides are different. We have less than, oh, just watch out, this is different than less or equal to. And we have greater than, which is different from greater or equal to, okay? So those are what we call relational operations. So we have equal, different from, less than, more than, less or equal, greater or equal. And we have, well, we already saw this difference, okay? This is the assignment and this is the comparator, okay? Now we have our logical operations of and, or, and not. But let's run an example here. Remember, we have our program here. I hope I didn't save it because, oh, I just missed our last program. It's okay. Now, I read my age. So let's do something like this. The ID, we're gonna say input ID, and you're calling for yes, no, okay? And I'm asking for the ID there. Okay, there we go. Looks like it's running right there. Okay, there it goes. And I'm asking for the ID there. And now what we can do now is say something like this. Watch out what I'm going to do. If age is greater than 17, something greater than 17, if it's an integer, it has to be the same as if we say greater or equal to 18. So it's basically the same. Now I'm going to put a 17 here, okay? You got to be careful, okay? If age is greater than 17 and ID is equal to yes, okay? And ID is equal to yes. And then we're gonna say, I'm gonna keep this simple with this, with the print statements, because the focus of this program is to work on our logic expression. This is my logic expression, okay? Okay, so I'm just gonna say print come in, okay? Print come in. Okay, this is a very simple if statement, okay? And then I just do this for the sake of making it more understandable. I just say print by. Okay, now let's see. Let's run it. Okay, let me save it. And we work on creating console for editor, and we say %run if examples .py, .py, shift enter. Okay, I am 18 and you have an ID, yes. Okay, it tells me come in by. If I run it again and I say, okay, I am 25, ID, no, okay, just tells me by, it doesn't tell me to come in because I don't have an ID. Okay, now look at this. I'm making this comparison. Are you older than 17? If I run this program here, okay, and I'm telling it that I am 17, even if I have an ID, it just tells me by. It doesn't go inside our if statement. Why is that? Because to go inside our if statement, it has to be greater than 17, and I need to have an ID of yes. And yes, I have an ID, but I just said that I am 17, and this goes false, this goes false, and this is true. But the and statement, for the whole expression to be true, all the elements have to be true. So for an and statement, everything has to be true. This has to be true, and this has to be true. And I can have something else and it has to be true, okay? Now, let's make this a little bit more complicated, okay? Okay, if I said, okay, you have an ID, yes, what happens if I run this program here? Okay, I run it, okay, and I am 25, okay, and I answer yes with a capital letter. It doesn't tell me that I can come in. It is not going inside. Why? Because I used a capital letter and it's not considered here. So what I have to do is the following, and this is a very common mistake. You have to be very explicit here. You have to say, or ID is equal to Y. This works. You must not say, listen, you must not say or Y only. You have to be very explicit. I compare this and put them together with an or. That means you have to be older than 17. That means 18 or more. And ID is yes, or ID is yes with capital and non-capital letter, okay? Now, if I save this, okay, and now I run it, okay, Okay, I am 25, and now I have a yes ID. What happens is that this whole thing, since this is true, and this is together with an OR operator, this whole thing comes true. And this is true, and this is true. So this here is true, and this whole thing here is true. Now, and with a true and true, the whole thing is true, and then I go inside my if statement. Okay, so basically, if you see this information here, the and is true only if everything is true. The or is true if only one of the parts of the or statement is true. If all of them are false, it's going to be false, and not, it is just the opposite. If something gives me true, not will convert it into false, and vice versa. Okay. Now, basically, this is the explanation with those relational operators like equal, different from, etc., and our logical or Boolean operators and, or, and not. Okay, so this is it for the if statement and conditional expressions like the one we see here, which is already, it's not complicated, and basically it's easy to do it, but you have to understand very well your condition, and you have to be careful the way you have to structure this. Okay, you have to write the whole thing. You cannot do something like this. This is wrong. This is wrong. This won't work. And it doesn't necessarily give you a mistake. It just won't run. You have to explicitly write it. Okay. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the if statement and basic conditional statements. I hope you liked the video and you understood what all of the examples. So good luck with your class. Okay.